All right, this edition is Friday, January 31st, the last day of January when people are listening to this. Is that really true? Is it February tomorrow?
Oh, no.
I'll tell you what's great about that. Starting a month on a Saturday.
That is great about that. I love starting a month on a Saturday. You know that. I still smell Saturday in my brain,
yes.
and so even on Fridays, I'm like, I know what a Saturday start is going to be.
Without a doubt. I'm a little sad because this is the last show you and I are doing together for a whole week.
Golly,
I like
am.
you're taking a much needed break.
I'm taking a little break next week. You won't hear my voice. It'll be fine. We'll have some great guests in there.
Yeah, that's the exciting part. No offense to the guests who are going to be next week.
It's a different vibe. I mean, for the people that have listened to the show, we're on like 950 something episodes, 60 maybe.
We just kind of like
there's a thing.
Quarterback, wide receiver rhythm. We got I
Yeah.
just know where you're going to be, so I'll just loft the ball out there and know you're going to catch it.
Exactly.
But I hope you have a great time.
Yeah.
We definitely had a great time here at Public Policy Day 2025 in the heart of Washington, D.C. at the Convention Center. It's pretty cool. If you've never been here, there's a gorgeous Apple store that's
Right across.
actually the
Yep.
Carnegie Library.
So wild.
It's unbelievable. We talked with policymakers, government officials, Tom Castriota, the NADA chair. Who else do we have?
Brian
John
Armstead, the voice of God. Yep.
Look, we quote the Alliance for Automotive Innovation
All the time.
100 times a year.
Yep.
And we got to meet John in person, the Bentley brand manager. I mean, the list goes on and on. We're going to be releasing all this content. And the reality is that the gap is closing. I feel like the work we got to do here today, the gap between what the consumer wants and what policymakers are hearing is ever so slightly inching closer together. And I have a lot of hopes for this next 4 years.
Well, I think, and I mentioned on stage today, but the reality is that the cultural moment of auto is very relevant in just like broad culture, right? People are thinking about, talking about. It's conversations that I hear just on the periphery, not even directly with me being in auto, but it's just on the periphery. You hear at church or at your kids' thing or at the grocery store, you hear people talking about the new cars that are coming out. And so, the policymakers basically have no choice. It's all around them all the time. And so when they're presented when people are presented with even more stories, more deep stories, we got to share the dealer perspective, the consumer perspective. Then we heard policymakers, we heard OEM perspectives today. And I think we've always had this desire ever since ASOTU started with you on the live stream and then me coming in. We've had this desire where there's just more conversation.
Yeah.
Right?
We kind of landed in a good time, I think, in the evolution of media and policy. Just 2 days ago, we didn't cover this, but the White House press secretary announced that they are putting a new seat in the press room, and they're allocating it towards what they call new media. And so we were thinking about that, not traditional. We work so closely with our friends at Automotive News and NADA and CBT, but the reality is too that one of the things that we get to do because we don't have the structure and infrastructure and expectation, put a lot of intentionality into going a little bit deeper.
Yep.
And I feel like we were able to accomplish that on the stage. Want to know why people are making the decisions that they're making. And when I think about what can dealers actually do about this, what's the actionable thing to take away from Policy Day? It's the same thing as every human thing, is that if you can take the time to let customers know a little bit more about yourself and you can get to know a little bit more about them past what car are they driving, that's where the fans come. That's where the people that step up to the line when something that's an overreach comes across the policy line. You've built relationships so people know who you are and they step up next to you.
We watched Bernie Moreno on stage today.
Oh, did we just not even mention?
It was unbelievable. We got to talk to Bernie Moreno, newly the senator of Ohio, and it was wild to watch him on stage. He is a dialed, great communicator. But then to come into what's being called new media position in this podcast stage, and just kind of let back, And we got to know him and his story of origin, his mom, his son, what's going on there. So I think, change the energy of even how you're interacting with people on the showroom, right? Change the energy of how you're interacting with your employees because that's what the expectation is, right?
Yeah.
From just all of culture.
Yeah, so coming off a big show, an ADA show, coming off Public Policy Day, a lot of our audience was not able to go.
Right.
Either because of weather or they're just busy, they're working, or they're not the person that comes out. the reality is the energy in the industry is ready to go into 2025. I think there's a lot of, there's even momentum behind the freedom of choice for consumers and what vehicle.
Sure.
There's a lot of momentum behind like, hey, let's think rationally through any changes that we made, any like things that we need to put in place. And I'm just really, I feel really blessed that you and I get to talk from like service advisors to senators,
it's such a blessing.
right?
Yeah.
And everything in between. That is what this community set out to be. And now kind of seeing the fullness of that. That's what this community is about. So we want to thank you all for being here. It's Friday. You have things to do. You have a big weekend coming up to start the month. And coming from Washington, D.C.
Oh.
to a city near you, we hope you have an amazing day. Go take care of some people.